Alright guys, first video on the new channel, and I'm going to start with a doozy. Race relations in America. Yeah, we might as well get the hate stirred up. And before we even start, we might as well you can go ahead and just call me a racist and ignore everything I say. Because that seems to be the narrative when anybody speaks about race in America, especially if they're white. If you're white, you should just sit in the corner and shut the fuck up because you know nothing. And that's part of the problem. I have, actually, this is the second time I've tried doing this video. I did the first little bit and I got interrupted by a customer coming in wanting a tattoo, and when I went back and watched it, I was jumping around. This is such a broad topic that there's no way I'm going to be able to do everything in one video. I already figured that part out. So this is going to be a multi-part video. Probably going to be a whole series of videos. And then when I get feedback from you guys, there'll even be more videos. So instead of trying to get everything in on one, I'm going to break it up. But like I said a second ago, just go ahead and call me a racist. That way anything I say is null and void. That's the easiest way of dealing with this topic. I've been watching videos lately. Well, apparently the powers that be doesn't want me to do this video. The first time I tried doing it, I was all over the board. I tried doing it again, and it said the battery was exhausted. Although, when I turned the camera on, it said the batteries were fine. So, apparently, this video doesn't need to be made. Oh, it's sad that we can't talk about this, because maybe we could figure some things out. You know, my thought is, it's really not. I don't want to say racism doesn't exist, because it does. But it's not the issue that we think it is. The powers that be, whether you call it the government, rich people, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, the powers that control things, they want to get us going at each other. Why? Split and conquer and divide. Divide and conquer. If we can get each other at each other's throats, it's easier to manipulate us. It's easier to get what we want done. It's easier to accomplish it. Hopefully, we'll start shooting each other, and then they can come in and take away the guns, and then we can be conquered like that. No matter what we do, they win. But you say this, and then you're a conspiracy theorist. And, you know, conspiracy theory just means crazy. Even though a lot of times, when you look at conspiracy theories, they have a grain of truth in them, or they're completely true, and you only find that out later on. And then all those crazy people weren't so crazy. But yeah, I don't think the racism is as much as it is. And let me explain why I think that. This college, Minnesota I think it is, where the Black Lives Matter group, or Minnesota, or something, you know, that college out west. A lot of the racial things that was happening by these racists, come to find out it was black students making it up, because there's not as much blatant racism running through the streets So, if we were going to say that there is, and there's no evidence of it, well, fuck, we better make some. You know, the one girl that went to the protest and said, hey, look at this Twitter. They say they're going to bomb us. She made it. There was a black kid made up a KKK page and then left it on the computer. Come to find out, it was made by a black kid. The bag of shit that they found on the thing, oh, now the racists are bringing bags of shit on our porch. It was a blind girl whose seeing eye dog had shit in her yard, and she picked it up, but didn't know where the trash cans were. She set it on the porch and forgot about it. The racists that showed up to the protest and started shooting, they found out that they had pinned them to a fucking chain link fence, and then when the guys broke free, they started chasing after them, and one of them turned around and defended themselves. But that's not the story that came out. Oh no, these racists showed up and started shooting the place. You know, if there's not enough real racism, we'll invent some. That way we can prove our point. And most of it has been found to be made by them. I mean, what does that tell you? If there's not enough racism to have your protest for, maybe it's not as big of a problem. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. But just like those instances, they weren't bringing bags of shit to their porches. They weren't showing up to the protest and just shooting people. You know, if there was enough real racism, they wouldn't have had to make that shit up. And like I said before, as soon as a white person starts talking about it, we'll label him a racist, and then we don't have to listen to him. Which I'm sure is going to happen here. Oh, you got white privilege. Yeah, here's my card. You know, card-carrying member. Really? You know, yes, I own a tattoo shop. Did anybody give it to me? Fuck no. I had to work for this shit. You know, nothing comes easy. You know, if you want something in life, you've got to go after it. It's not just going to be handed to you. And that's part of the problem. People want shit handed to them nowadays. They don't want to work for it. And that's a separate issue. I'm just trying to get the basics down. And calling him a racist, that's one of the tactics. Let's not listen to him, because we might actually solve the problem then. The other one that I love, and I see it in a lot of videos and conversations and stuff, somebody would be talking in general terms. Did you say all? And then we're off on a 20-minute tangent, and we've done gotten away from the issue that we were trying to talk about. You know, and it doesn't matter what the topic is. We could be talking about Muslims. Did you mean all Muslims? Well, it sounded like you said all Muslims. And instead of talking about whatever issue you had with the Muslims, we've gotten rid of it, and now we're talking about whether or not you meant all, some. You see what I'm saying? That argument. Let's not talk about the problem. Let's switch it. Another one is changing the meanings of words. That's the newest one I've seen. That's not one of the newest, but it's a newer one. And I don't think everybody's caught on to it yet. Example. The word racist. Black people can't be racist. The reason why, from what I've found, is institutional power. We have no institutional power, therefore we can't be racist. Really? That's the argument. I thought the word racist meant you hated a person's race. You know, if I call you a nigger, I'm a racist. If you call me a honky, you're not a racist because you don't have institutional power. No. You're changing the meaning of the word now. Hate is hate. If I didn't tell you, if I gave you a bunch of examples and I didn't tell you what the people's racist was, just the actions, you'd say, well, that's a racist action. That's a racist action. That's a racist action. That one's not. This one's not. But if I give you the people's races, well, this white guy did this to a black guy. Racist! A black guy did this to a white, not racist. Bullshit. Racism is racism. I don't give a shit what race you are. You hold hate. All white people are this. You just categorized every white person. Did you say all? Did you say all? See, now we're not talking about what the issue is. We've gotten off. Another one I've heard lately, coon. If a black person agrees with a white person, he's a coon now. He's an Uncle Tom. We've changed the meaning of a word. When I was growing up, if I heard coon, that was a black person. Now it's an Uncle Tom. See, we're changing the words. The actions aren't changing. It's just what we're labeling them. Just like the racist. If I label you a racist, now I don't have to listen. Now I don't have to listen to you anymore. Because anything you say is worthless. Really? That's how we're going to work this out? Well, no wonder we can't get things accomplished when we're dealing with race. Because as long as we're not looking at the issues and we're worrying about the meanings of words and, well, I can't be racist because I'm black. Yeah, bullshit. If you have hate in your heart, you're a racist. It's just as simple as that. Now, I was taught growing up there's a difference between a black man and a nigger. There's a difference between an Asian person and a gook. There's a difference between any race. You're going to have good, you're going to have bad. And that's just the way it is. You know, it doesn't matter. White, black, yellow, brown, tan. There's going to be good people, there's going to be bad people. And instead of looking at it like that, we're just going to label the whole race bad. You know, I've heard people say, well, you know, I got beat up by a black person, so that's why I don't like blacks. Really? So 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 people beat you up. So now the whole person's race is bad. That's just some ignorant shit. You know, instead of looking at that group of people and saying, okay, those are some fucked up people, you're going to put everybody that looks like him in the same basket. The powers that be, that's what they want. The media, you know, they're under the control of the powers that be. Example, white cop shoots a black kid. You're going to hear about it from coast to coast. Black cop shoots a white kid. You may hear about it in that town, but you're not going to hear it coast to coast. Why? I don't know, you tell me why. But it seems like the powers that be want us at each other's throats. You know, and if a black person agrees with something I say, we can dismiss him by calling him a coon. I'm a racist, he's a coon. And now you don't have to listen to either one of us. And until that goes away, we're not going to be able to solve the bigger picture. Until we quit. You know, I've heard it said, oh, the left is doing this, and the left is changing the meanings of the words. It doesn't matter because we're following with them. You know, if somebody would have stood up and said, no, black people can be racist too. See, now we're looking at the problem. You know, we're not excluding anybody. You know, you look it up. Racism doesn't say if you have armies and banks, and no. A racist is a person who hates another race. Doesn't matter if they're black or if they're white, or if they're brown or yellow or red. You hate another race, you're a racist. Doesn't mean that all your points are invalid either. You may have some good points in there. So that's why I said, go ahead and call me a racist. I don't give a fuck. I know what I am. And nothing you say is going to change how I feel about myself. Now, I may be willing to change my opinion on evidence that you bring to me, but I already know what I am inside, so you calling me a racist does nothing. I could care less. It's name calling. Why don't you bring some evidence, some proof that will do more than calling me a name? So, I think this is a good foundation. I want to see what you guys think about this. Like I said, this is going to be a whole series because there's no way I can put everything about race relations in America in one video. It just can't happen. There's too much. There's too many subtleties. There's too many differences to all be discussed in one video. So this will end up as a whole range of videos. But I think you need to come back to this one before you watch any of the other ones. Because some of the groundwork I'm laying here is going to go onto, you know, the baiting and switching. That's not going to work. You know, you can show the shiny thing over here. As long as we're worrying about the shiny thing, we're not worrying about the problem. I want to get to the problem. So baiting and switching doesn't work. We're talking about the issues here. You know, I'd really like to know what would make all this go away. You know, I've heard some people say reparations. Some people just want acknowledgement. What is it going to take to get rid of this? You know, because as far back as I know, now I can only go to my great-grandparents because I don't know anybody beyond them, but all the way back to my great-grandparents, none of us have owned slaves. So, and as far as my knowledge, anybody that's going to be watching this video probably hasn't been a slave. So, you know, and for some reason in America, slavery seems to be it only happened here. You know, now, as far as I know, slavery has occurred throughout history, throughout the world. I don't think there is a group of people that have not been enslaved or haven't enslaved. I mean, I'm sure this is going to be a whole nother video, slavery as one of the facets of this. But, you know, a lot of people don't realize that the slave trade, only a small portion came to America. Some went to Europe, some went down to South America, the Bahamas. But we don't talk about that. We only talk about America like this is the only place it's happened. And it's been over for a couple hundred years now. And we're still dealing with it. You know, at some point we have to put this to bed. You know, I've got a lot of Native American blood in me. I could be crying, "You're on my land, get off my land." But what's that going to do? What's that going to get me? You know, what's it going to take to get this to be settled? You know, if I was Roman and I'm still crying about the fall of Rome, you know, Rome was a world power. It was the world power at one point, and then it went away. But I don't hear people complaining over that. You know, that happened so long ago. Well, Slavery happened so long ago, but for some reason in America we can't let go of it. And I'm not saying it should be ignored. That's not the... Because I've talked about this before, and that's the first thing. Oh, you just want us to ignore it. And, no. But talking about it for the next 600 years is not going to help it either. I've heard some people say reparations. Okay. Even if we, set aside $50 million, every person might get $2 or $3 out of it. So that's not going to work. What's it going to take to make this issue be put into history and move on? Because as long as we're fighting over it, we can't move on. Every country, every part of the world has had slavery. Every part of the world has seen war. Every part of the world has had fucked up things happen there. If they kept complaining about it for hundreds of years, they'd never move on. At some point, they got to work it out, put it to bed, and move on. And that's happened almost everywhere in the world, except for America. In America, we're still rehashing shit from a couple hundred years ago. And I just don't... That's part of the problem. The powers that be is part of the problem. But as long as we just keep calling people racist and ignoring things, it's never going to get... It's never going to move on. It's never going to get solved. It's never going to get fixed. We're never going to be able to move on. So, I'd like to have some feedback from you guys. Let me know what you think. Video response, that would be great. That way I can see who I'm talking to. And, you just want a name call? Well, apparently you're not smart enough to have an adult conversation. Because name calling just means that you're ignorant and you don't have the intelligence to have a debate or a discussion or a conversation. Yeah, I don't know what to say to you, so I'm going to call you a white guy. Nanny boo boo. Really? That's what you're going to bring to the table? Yeah, you're a great asset. So, all right, guys, let me know what you think, and then I'll do part 2. All right, peace.